So I've got an energy that's telling me, it's a broader energy, it's above me and it's bigger, and it's telling me that it oversees all the animals. So is this all the animals on Earth or elsewhere? All animals, all energies that incarnate as an animal. Okay, well, I guess that would cover us too, because technically. Okay, so, but, so I'm just going to see what this energy is. A portion or a spark of source frequency, God, light and love, universal oneness. So it's a portion of light that oversees the animals, their well-being, their incarnations, their reasons for being here, with them bringing their light frequency here to help us. We could call them God sends, yes, because this is the case. This is true. They are God sends for Earth, God sends for us. Thank goodness gracious we have them here with us. Can't imagine this world without them. And this energy, this source frequency that oversees all the animals is letting me know that some of the animals are aware. They are aware before incarnating on Earth what their role is here. And some play a part that is much easier than other lifetimes where it's much more difficult and harder. But the overall main goal is to move in a Well, fancy meeting you here. Talking about what do your pets think of you? Well, we're going to find out. And then, of course, we're going to take some questions, and I'm going to channel some guidance as well. So I hope you guys can all come on and join me. I'm going live in my group on Facebook called Intuitive Angel Messages. And I enjoy going live at least once a week and connecting in with everyone and being able to answer questions and channel guidance. So has anybody noticed how intense the ascension energy has been in the last few days? Oh, it has been a doozy. If you find your mind racing, heart palps, anxiety, some people are sleeping a lot, and some people have a ton of energy and can just do more. So there's a ton of energy flooding in on the planet right now. Yesterday, when I went outside, I found that the energy was really fast moving. The light frequency was moving very rapidly, probably the fastest that I've ever seen it. So when you have a lot of light frequency and it's moving very rapidly and very quickly, we must be ready for that. Things are picking up and going up a notch. So, at least where I live, I don't know if you guys notice this too, but when it's a cloudy day outside, the energy is a little bit slower and it's a little bit softer. For me, yesterday, the energy was just moving at the opposite end of the scale. It was super fast. So I don't know if you guys are noticing that, but this might be a time to ground your energy a lot outside. Some people are noticing that they haven't slept for several days, if not several weeks. So I know several people like that. And you can imagine, depending on where your energy has been, okay? So if you're used to being in you know, going through vessels that don't need sleep, haven't had much sleep, more mental beings, and then you come and you bring your frequency with that imprint of those lifetimes here on earth, it might be harder for you to sleep during these stages that we're going through. Whereas other individuals, depending on where they've been, it might just be easier for them to. Okay. So here's the first question. So it's not just about channeling the animals to see what they think or what messages they have for us. It's also about how to make things more comfortable for them, to have that connection with them. If they, what do they need? What do they want? What is it that they want from us? How can we help them? How can we help them further? And so it's really important to be able to connect with our pets and our animals in a deeper way to understand what and how they are feeling and what they're thinking. So that's really, I think, the most important. I would say secondly, you know, what do they think of us? Okay. What is it that what are they thinking of us would be second. And this isn't just about channeling our pets that are here on earth with us right now, but it's also about channeling the pets and the animals that have crossed over and being able to connect with them anytime we want to. Being able to have conversations, checking in and seeing what they're up to. Where are they? What kind of fun and frolicking are they up to? And I do notice that some of our pets will cross over right away, and some of our pets will hang out with us and linger longer. They don't want to go. And I see the angels being really patient with them and just letting them hang out with us because they're not ready to leave us yet. So I see a lot of that. In the beginning of getting a pet or an animal, you know, we nurture them and we take care of them. We make sure they get enough food. We make sure that they get the best kind of food and the best, you know, drinking water. But then what? Then what from that point onwards, right? So, you know, some of the ways that we can connect with them, I don't know if you guys have seen this online, but I sure have. And there's a lot of Instagram accounts where they have their dogs or their cats or their horses. This is what I've seen. I'm sure there's other animals that could do it in this way, but these are the three animals that I've seen: dogs, cats, and horses, where you can get these buttons and they have a word on it and they can press it and it says the word. And this way you can have, they're really pet communication buttons, and you're able to have a deeper connection with your pet and your animal by working with the buttons. And that way they can go to the button and let you know what they want or what they're communicating to you, and you can have more free-flowing conversation with them. The second way, other than getting the buttons, would be learning mentally, telepathically, how to communicate with them. Okay? Other than the obvious. Like, we know when the dog goes to the door and stares at you, he probably has to go out and go pee-pee. Okay? My dog, Tuffy, he used to sit by the door and growl at us. And then he would just do that until we came to the door to let him to go out. So, you know, cats and dogs will find different ways to get through to us. But how about we learn how to get through to them in a much more easy, fluid way, right? Having that deeper communication with them. And when I connect in with spirit, this path is like really important. It's really important. We can connect in with our loved ones anytime we want, and we can connect in with our pets, our fur babies, anytime we want, whether they're in a physical vessel or not. So today isn't just about connecting in with the fur babies that you have now, but it's also about connecting in with the fur babies that have crossed over. Okay? And the other thing to make note of is the way that, say, a horse communicates versus a dog or a cat can be a bit different. I think from what I've learned from spirit, it's a different flow of consciousness and a different amount of consciousness flowing through their vessels. And they have different interests and different needs. But with a human, we just maybe have more free-flowing consciousness, energy flowing through us. Whereas with an animal, it's a different type of consciousness and a different amount. I'm just going to double check on that. Yes, this is correct. This is correct. So it's a different amount and it's a different type. Yes. And what I'm picking up with from my guardian angel here is it's a different type in the way that it is configured differently to suit the host body. Okay. So if we were to compare a human to an animal, how would you describe that being configured differently? A human host body is able to take in more light frequency or more consciousness, is able to pick up more information steadily, readily. A animal body is, until they develop consciously, more consciousness, okay? Until the animal starts to develop more so consciously, the stream of incoming consciousness is more simplified. It's not as elaborate, if we want to say it like that. And that's what I've noticed when communicating with them as well. Like when I'm communicating with someone's dog that's crossed over on the other side, I'm not hearing the dog say, "Barbara, that sweater looks amazing on you. I'm so happy you'd have your hair done that way." Okay? The dog's not thinking about those kinds of things. It's more simplified, it's more direct, and it's more straight to the point communication. And in many ways, with the animal communication workshop that is coming up October 14th until the 16th, that's coming up online, so I can't wait for that. In many ways, we're learning the different ways of communication streaming in. It's not just one or two different ways. It's several different ways. And it's really exciting to bring this to the forefront, not just by the way of what others teach, but teaching from my own experiences and learning from the angels. So we're not only learning just how to channel the pets telepathically, we're also learning how to channel the pets' guardian angels telepathically. So if the pet is busy or the pet's not interested in communicating, or maybe the pet is resting, who do we talk to? Their guardian angel. Yeah. And the guardian angel is able to stream through more information, a broader perspective, which is really helpful. Really, really helpful. Okay? Yeah. It's really important to understand them in a deeper way and to give them a way of communicating with you in a broader perspective, with more depth. And once you get going on this path, once this wheel starts spinning and moving in this direction, you will be able to connect in anytime you want and understand what it is that they want and need and what they want to communicate with you, which I think is really important. All right, so I'm just seeing one comment here, so I'm just opening up my secondary window to go and have a look. There we are. Oh, it's so interesting you say that, Melina, because my aunt did the same thing. Adopted two cats, and they were feral for rodent control. Yep, same as my aunt. Oh, isn't that sweet? Yeah, her pets also warmed up to us, and they would try to catch the birds. They couldn't, to save their lives. But they love to catch the mice. And just even the smell of them will keep the mice away. The mice will know they're there, you would hope. At least that's what my aunt tells me. Hmm. Oh. Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I'll come to that in just a moment. Hmm. It's really important to allow your pet to have a platform to express itself, to develop its consciousness. That's what it really is about. And that's what we've done over the span of incarnations here, is we have developed our consciousness, and we're taking leaps and bounds even now. It's just amazing. So let's bring the pets along with us, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed my aunt's cat, he really attached to me as well. And I ended up house sitting across the street, and they would come across the street to hang out with me. And I'd say to my aunt, they keep coming over here. Like, why do they keep coming over here? Like, I don't understand why they cross the road and risk it to come over here. And my aunt just laughed and she said, because you're over here, they want to be with you. I was like, oh, it hadn't dawned on me, right? Because they're not mine. Why are they over here? And yeah, so it'll be really fascinating to see what comes about through this workshop and the different forms of communication and the information that we are going to bring forward. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about this topic of conversation before I get to other questions? Like, it's going to be really fascinating to not only channel the animals, but also channel their guardian angels and notice the differences between the two and be able to communicate. With my dog Tuffy, for example, I've always just communicated with him. I have not yet communicated with his guardian angel, but when I have readings, it's a lot of communication with each animal's guardian angel. And it's really fascinating also using remote viewing, which we're going to be doing some of in this workshop, because you can use remote viewing to see if the animals are still around you or in the house or with a loved one. Maybe somebody wants to know if their pet is still around, or if there's any other pets lingering in the home. So that's a really fascinating thing that you can use, which quite frankly, that just was learned on the fly over the last 5 years. I just started, people would ask me questions and I thought, well, I'm going to go over and look and just see what I see. And that's just something that you develop over time. It's really awesome and fascinating. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't see anybody's questions about what we've just chatted about. So I'm going to take the first question that I see here from Alina in regards to a fatal disease and don't know what to do beyond try to treat. Okay, and do you allow him to get uncomfortable to his end, or do you put him down? Yeah, something that you're not comfortable with. Okay. See, this one's going to be a tricky one because I have my perspective of how I've seen some pets. Like where I live, people will spend thousands of dollars to keep their pets alive. And if you can keep them alive comfortably, I say go for it. But I've also seen the other shoe in the foot, or foot in the shoe, where the other flip side of the coin, where individuals here will keep them alive and they're like literally paralyzed, or they can't even defecate properly. They're in the home. They take them out in a baby basket. They're just hanging on by a thread, but the homeowner cannot let them go. So it's something. Yep. So it's something that is important to connect in with your cat's soul, I feel, and see what he wants. Because there's what we want and our emotions, and then there's what he wants. Do you want to connect in that way? Or would you rather me connect in with his guardian angels and just see what is best? What they think is best for his highest and best good. Because we can do that too and do a blanket. Okay. Yep. So you're really at the end of the rope as far as how much more you can spend to help him. So it's just a matter of what is best for him long term. Okay, so you can sense that he wants to stay. Okay, so let's hone into his energy for Melina's fur baby. You do it with me, Melina. Sit quietly and just feel the energy flooding from him through you. I get he's very content with you. I get happiness and joy, contentment. He's still eager to be there. Okay. His name is Thunder. Oh my God, I love that. I haven't heard that before. I just think that's awesome. Okay. So he's eager to be there. Okay. Okay. So now in comes his guardian angel, who is going to converse, and I can, so I got his energy and I can see where he's at, and in comes over top his guardian angel's energy. Okay. And I get a thumbs up. All right. Okay. So where are we going with this? He's content for now, but we do not recommend running this course until he is, as they say, on his last legs. There will be a time, a moment where you will need to decide what is best in his for his highest and best good. And running the course right to the end is not recommended. Okay? So, you know, when, he can't eat, maybe he can't sleep, he can't get up, he's having a hard time. Any other last messages with this? I get that he's content enough for now, but there's going to be what they call a pivot. So there's going to be a pivot where things take a downturn. And when that time comes, so we're where we're at right now with him, and when it pivots and gets a bit worse, then you have to decide how much longer you are willing to take things. Because ultimately they say it's in your hands. And because they're saying pets will stick with us through thick and thin. They don't want to leave us. They love us, they adore us, and they will do whatever it takes to stay by our side. So we are the ones that have the free will choosing and the decision making to decide how much longer things go on for. So ultimately, they're being really blunt right now in saying that how long he suffers for, or the level or the length of time of suffering, is in your hands. So we're where we're at now, and when the pivot happens and he takes a downward slide, that's when you have to decide how much longer, and then make that decision. Okay. The angels don't want him to suffer needlessly for a lengthy period of time before he exits his life here, exits his body. That is very loudly given. Okay? So that is what we're waiting for. Okay. Do we have any idea of this downward pivot? They're just saying, no, not at this time. It's really about him and how long he can endure for. So whenever that pivot happens, whenever he's like he doesn't have much more in him, the body shifts in a direction that is worse off than where he is now, that's when you must decide. And they don't recommend you putting any more funds forward to assist him. They're also saying this. So I don't know what you've heard from the veterinarian, but what his guardian angels are saying is it's best to not continue funding anything further. Now, they're leaving it in your hands because it's your free will here on earth, but they don't recommend it. So we'll ask the angels for strength and for clarity and for the courage to step forward and do what needs to be done for his highest and best good, and for the love for him. Let's ask them to do that. And they're thanking me for making that request. Okay, so you have to decide if that's what you want the angels to help you with. You're super, super welcome. Okay. There's his free will too. And so what they're saying is that they can't give you a timeline because depending on his free will and his strength, he might hang on longer. If he wants to, he can. But they want you to wait for that pivot when things take a downward turn. Then you must be the one. You are the only one that can make that decision. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. They're really happy that they got that through to you. They just told me that. They said, that's all for now, Kristin. And then they're like, we're so happy and elated that, so they give me this hand signal that they're happy that they got that through on his behalf for him. Because, you know, the animals will stick it out through thick and thin. It's amazing if you look at any veterinarian programs on TV or farm shows, like the animals go through so much and they're so strong, you know, but his team doesn't want him to linger and suffer for too long. Okay. Yep. I agree with what Dee says here, 100%. She's picking up that he is just asking to be comfortable and allowed to stay as long as it's not a problem. Yeah. Yeah. So it's so difficult when it's in our hands. I remember my mom coming down to my bedroom, and I was already going through my own health struggles at the time. And she said, you know, Tuffy is taking a downturn. And I said, no, I just can't lose him right now. Like, I'm going through my own hard time. So when she said that to me, I couldn't face losing him because he was like the only bright light I had in my life at that time. But then when I went upstairs and I saw how bad it was, I realized that I had to put him before me, and things were really bad. Like, he was urinating everywhere, which was something that was happening for a few weeks, but we still weren't willing to let him go. And now when I saw him the second time, when my mom had told me this, he was gasping for air. It was as if his internal organs were shutting down. he just couldn't catch a breath. It was like he was going to suffocate to death at any moment. And I said, we have to call the vet and get him in like as soon as possible, because to watch him sit there and suffer like that was no way I was willing to let him. So we have to gather that strength from within us to put them first and foremost. That was like one of the worst times of my life. I remember just crying all the time for about a month afterwards, because they're like our children, right? And I think that that's a large part of why I'm doing this workshop too, because some of us are so emotionally attached to our pets, whether they've crossed over or whether they're still with us. So how do we separate that emotion long enough to pick up on the incoming channeled guidance from our pet? That's the tricky part. And then on the flip side of the coin, some of us are not in touch with our emotions. We're not in touch with our feelings. So then how do we connect to that feeling place long enough to be able to connect with their energy? So that's what I want to teach in this workshop as well. Oh, wow. Yep. Okay, so Dee's dog Apache has just changed his food to, they've changed his food to a raw food diet. Could you check in and see if that's, you know, what's best for her and if she likes this change? When I pick up on Apache's energy, she's very singularly focused. She's focused on one, like one thing at a time. And she's very singularly focused on things. That's what I get from her energy. She loves what I'm getting here. So weird that I'm getting this, is that she would love to work. If you put her to work, make her work for something, teach her things. Obviously going out for walks is a must, but teaching her things, making her work for things would be really ideal for her. Is that weird? I'm channeling that. I don't know. So that's what would be really good for her. And I get like, I get a feel of like a working dog. Her soul feels like a working dog. So maybe she's had a lot of incarnations where she's been working. Okay, so let's check in on her diet. Okay, first things first, she absolutely loves this diet change. Way better. I'm getting like way better than her previous diet. She loves it. I mean, they're really emphasizing way better. She loves it. They're putting the letters really big in my face. Okay. Is this what is best for her long term and her body? They're talking about as long as she doesn't get, you know, like the fatty, greasy food that sometimes we can give dogs at the table, or cheese, fatty type foods, as long as it's lean, which I feel it already is. It's already lean. But that's the key. As long as it's lean protein. But I also see some veggies in there. It's like the highest grade quality you could possibly give her. Is that correct? Because that's what they're telling me. This is not just some, you know, food off on the side that's, you know, thrown together. Hope that's the best. This is like the best of the best. Okay. Okay. Yep. Absolutely 100%, Babette. When we cross over, our pets are waiting for us. They are waiting for us. But they're having a great time over there too. And that's a lot of what we're going to talk about in the workshop too. Where are they and what are they doing? So any questions that you have about your fur babies that have crossed over, what are they doing? What are they doing over there? What are they getting up to? I always check up on my dog. Even now I check up on him to see what he's up to. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. It's a tough decision to make that for Thunder, but you have to do it. Do it for him. Do it for him. And I remember that with my dog. I was like, this has to happen today. But we kind of let things carry on a bit. I mean, he was peeing in my car. He was peeing in the living room. And you could tell like he was declining. His expectancy was 14 years. And he was 2 weeks away from his 14th birthday. So it's really important. I don't know, where did I get that? Was that me or you? Yes. All right. Here we go. It's important for us to not put our selfish needs before the needs of our pet. Okay, it's a bit selfish to think, okay, I'm going to just let the pet continue suffering because I need him here. It's the same with my sister's cat who developed diabetes. He really suffered that last month. It was brutal. But her and her daughter just couldn't let him go. So it's out of, we have to, thank you. I keep getting funneled this information from my guardian angel. It's really important that we step aside and put our emotions to the side to see what is best for our loved ones, such as our fur babies. The other thing that I'm getting here is, in our culture, our society, it's against the law to let our loved ones go even when they're suffering greatly. But with our pets, we can do this for them, and it's a great blessing that we are able to do this for them so that they can pass over peacefully without suffering for a lengthy period of time. And the angels feel that that's an actual blessing. She says that they wish that we could let our loved ones, our humans, go gently and lovingly and cross over when it's time, rather than what we do with them now. But that's maybe something that is for another life, she's saying with a smile. And there will be a lot of changes that will be taking place on Earth in the future. It's just where humanity is on Earth right now, the collective. They meaning others on Earth, don't trust others to make the best decisions for others without being selfish about the end goal, I suppose is one way of putting it. And also, individuals don't want to take responsibility for such actions, but crossing over, or as we call it, death, is a part of the life cycle. It's a part of birth. It's a part of the whole journey. And the way that spirit sees it is vastly different than how we see it, or what we've been taught and regurgitated through society over lifetimes. Intuitively, instinctively, we know when we are watching our loved ones wasting away for year upon year upon year. It's not saying in every case, but not always, okay? It's not always going to be in their best interest. But there's nothing we can do. She's showing our hands are tied. Our hands are tied. We can't do, although some take drastic measures and do take things into their own hands, but then face repercussions afterwards. And not many are willing to face those repercussions, which is understandable. That was a lot. Oh, hilarious, Dee. She is very single-minded then. She's smart as a whip. Oh, good. You trained her as much as you can. Yep. Yep. Oh, I bet she hated dry food. My dog hated dry food too. I accidentally dropped a steak on the floor one time. He picked it up in his little mouth, and he was only about a year old, but he had this big steak in his mouth, and he was like, "Arr!" And he took off in the living room and hid behind a chair in hopes we wouldn't see where he was. And you could tell, like, this was the glory days. He got that steak in his mouth so quick. Obviously, we took it away from him. He couldn't eat that amount. I mean, it was huge. Okay. Wow. Kim, that's amazing. So the question, I guess, that is held in one's mind is, was it her time to go? Was it her exit date? Or could things have been different? But that's doing a woulda, coulda, shoulda. And my motto in life is I don't do woulda, coulda, shouldas. But we can see what the angels say about it, okay? So Kim's dog crossed away 2 years ago, and she was only 6.5 years old, and she was quite human-like, intelligent, smart, aware. She had more consciousness streaming through her. I also get that I don't know if it's him or several family members really talking to her and engaging with her to produce the consciousness to step forward within her in the forefront for communication. Well, and we're wondering if it was her exit date. We're doing a woulda, coulda, shoulda. Yes, it was her time to go, though fleeting, very enjoyable for her. So although her life was more on the fleeting end of things, it was extremely enjoyable for her. She has a soul and a heart bond with your husband. That's the other thing that I'm being shown, and they're saying this to me. And she always will. And she'll be waiting for him when he crosses over. She'll be waiting for everyone when they cross over, but she's really centered in on your husband. Okay. All right. She's extremely happy on the other side. They're telling me this. Very, very happy. Oh my God. You really go the distance, Dee, just like they said. Does she pick the green beans out of the food and leave it off to the side? There's just so much that we can do in a workshop like this, and there's so many different things to show you guys that the angels really are the ones teaching through me. And once we kind of move and shift a bit, it'll make things much more easier and have more clarity to channel messages for them. And then you'll be able to, I think the end goal really is for the animals first, second for us, and then to be at peace, to be much more at peace. But number one, the reason why I do what I do in this workshop is for the animals. So I'm going to channel some guidance coming through for each of us. And then I'm going to wrap it up for this afternoon. So I'm just going to see what would like to come through. So I've got an energy that's telling me, it's a broader energy, it's above me and it's bigger. And it's telling me that it oversees all the animals. So is this all the animals on Earth or elsewhere? All animals, all energies that incarnate as an animal. Okay, well, I guess that would cover us too, because technically. Okay, so, but, so I'm just going to see what this energy is. A portion or a spark of source frequency, God, light and love, universal oneness. So it's a portion of light that oversees the animals, their well-being, their incarnations, their reasons for being here, with them bringing their light frequency here to help us. We could call them God sends, yes, because this is the case. This is true. They are God sends for Earth, God sends for us. Thank goodness gracious we have them here with us. Can't imagine this world without them. And this energy, this source frequency that oversees all the animals is letting me know that some of the animals are aware They are aware before incarnating on earth what their role is here. And some play a part that is much easier than other lifetimes where it's much more difficult and harder. But the overall main goal is to move in a direction for the well-being of all here on earth, not just for the humans, where all animals are happy and content here. They serve a purpose that they are fulfilling, and they are aware that they are coming here to serve that and fulfill that purpose. So this energy, this source frequency is telling me that it's really important that we don't feel sorry for them. And to develop a deeper connection with them, to make changes in our lives that better suit animals if we feel guided or drawn. If we don't, there's a reason and a purpose for that. But if we feel guided to make changes with our diets or how we take care of our animals or whatever it may be, then move in that direction. Okay. Okay. I'm getting, not everyone needs to be vegan, okay? Not everyone can be vegan, depending on their dietary restrictions or health issues or otherwise, okay? But as the days come into the future, moving forward, and we become more light bodies, okay? We feel and we have a lot more light frequency through our bodies. It's just a natural progression that we're going to move in, where all of us live together communally in a much more high vibrational way, and we don't need animals to sustain ourselves for energy, because we'll have enough light frequency pooling forth through us to sustain our energy. I'm also being shown as an indication of this, or an example would be somebody that has, you meet those rare people that are interviewed in videos or on TV, and they do sun gazing, and they've stopped eating food for a number of years. And so with the sun gazing, they've just been able to sustain their bodies energetically from light frequency, similar or like, as we move forward on earth. Lighter foods consumed, lesser amounts of food needed to sustain one's energy. And I see this kind of coming further out. This isn't going to happen like tomorrow, but it's on its way. This is the direction we're going in. The earth is ascending and moving into more of a light body, and so will each of us who continue to incarnate here upon her back. How wild. Okay. Okay, and that's all that wishes to come through. Wow. Okay, you guys, I'm looking forward to October 14th till the 16th. It's going to be a wild ride, and I can't wait. If anybody has any questions, feel free to type them in to the comments. If you have any questions about this workshop coming up, I will get right to them straight away. Bye.